Welcome to the Clear the Shelf podcast with Chris and Chris, the show that meets at the intersection of education and entertainment to discuss online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, wholesale, and all facets of selling on Amazon. We'll bring you news, tactics, strategies, insights, stories, and interviews to help you grow your Amazon business. And now, here are your hosts, Chris Grant and Chris Rasick. What's up, Amazon sellers, and welcome back to the Clear the Shelf podcast with myself and my Philip-progenitive co-host, Chris Rasick. Today, we've got Miles. You know him as Flips for Miles on the show. And just about everyone knows Miles from YouTube, from Instagram, from Twitter. He's everywhere. Perhaps one of the most consistent, maybe prolific users of social media that I've seen, especially in the Amazon space. And so today we're going to talk about finding your people in this community to grow your business with, even if you hate being on camera. And then, to be frank, I'm going to treat this as a bit of a coaching session for myself about building a personal brand using social media the right way. Miles, thanks for hanging out with us today, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, crazy. Good to connect with you guys. I remember we did our first one 3 years ago this month or last month, back in 2022. I was in my childhood bedroom and everything. So it's, good stuff. And it feels good that we're all still cooking along here a couple of years later.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, can't say that for everybody. I wish that was the case, but we'll dive into that a little bit as well. Now, you guys know the drill. It takes us minutes to prepare for each one of these episodes. So if you find some value in it, do us a solid, share this on social media, tag Chris and I so we can say thank you. Or drop a comment below. Just let us know what you learned. It means a ton to us, keeps us motivated to find more guests to bring to you guys. All right, let's dive right in. So I was going to go into your background and all of that stuff, but I mean, we know, and we've done that before. So you've built this presence on social media. What's the origin story of actually wanting to, build your social media channels and I guess, when did you realize that, doing Amazon, thanks to social media, could be more than just this solo operation?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, I have always, ever since I was super, super young, I loved Legos, right? And when you're in 5th and 6th grade and you really like Legos, you're really embarrassed for the kids at school to know about it, right? So even in late elementary school, I didn't really talk about it too much, but I always really, really liked them. And then in 5th and 6th grade, it was totally didn't want anyone knowing about it, even though I went to a really small school, whatever, maybe it was irrational in mine, but didn't want anyone to know about it. And I got this one for Christmas in 2010. So it was 6th grade, I believe. And I couldn't get it together. And this was by the time we had a family computer, we didn't have Apple devices or anything. I might have had an iPod Nano or something. But we had a family computer. And I remember going on there. I was like, how the heck are people getting this together? I have instructions for it, but I feel like it's just not clicking. It was either Google or YouTube, but YouTube ended up showing up. And I found that there were kids online that were making videos about the Lego stuff they were making, starting out just like the kits that Lego themselves sells, right? Which is what I was doing. But pretty quickly, literally that first week, I figured out that there was this big community of people that were making custom builds too, called mocks, for example, right? My own creation, where they'd make a big World War II battle or a big historical thing or futuristic or whatever, right? Or Star Wars, but more free form, significantly bigger, significantly more skill required to put it together, and completely free form, no instructions, right? And so literally that first week, I was like, damn, this is crazy that there's these guys that are talking about it. And I was like, all right, I think that was actually when we had an iPod Touch in the family, now that I think about it, because I had to be able to post the video somehow. So it must have been an iPod Touch. I believe, or my mom had an iPhone from work or something. It might've been that, but regardless. So I went ahead and put that together, basically, and got the set together correctly. The cool thing is the two big guys in the Lego community back then are actually still two of the top 5 biggest guys now, which is pretty cool. So they've been insanely, almost 20 years, and they're only a couple years older than me. Nice. So it's crazy. They've literally been in the game, been posting the Lego stuff for almost 20 years straight, which is pretty cool. And so by learning that there were these people making these own independent things, you start getting hit by other people. You learn about kind of other areas of the Lego community. And I pretty quickly started making my own videos. And, there's only so many guys doing it. So you start, checking out this guy's here, checking out this guy's here. He's got the Skype link in the description. contact him. I have proof that I'm about it because I'm posting videos myself. I'm not just like, I'm not just another account. I'm actually doing it, right? And so start to make some friends in the Lego community, and pretty quickly, pretty much the same thing I do with Amazon guys these days is that throughout the day now as an Amazon seller and entrepreneur, it's FaceTime from this guy, message from this guy, group call with this community. And it became that pretty quick in early 2011 with the Lego world. And then eventually started going to these conventions once a year, which I haven't been since 2018, but I'm going to go again soon, maybe, and surprise my homies that still do it. They're like so good now because there's so many new colors and pieces and it's evolved so much. And guys have so much more disposable income and everything that the stuff they make so much better than back when we did it. But like for 6 or 7 years in a row, I went to that, and we would spend the whole year getting something ready to put together one time at this 5-day convention in Virginia. And so that was my first foray into the content business. I actually stopped doing YouTube. There was like a rivalry between the video-based Lego creators and the photo-based Lego creators. And we were cool with each other. We would just never hang out with each other at the conventions. It was completely different, right? And so I became a photo-based creator, which looking back was the wrong way to do it. But I really liked the guys that I became friends with. And then I did that for a while, literally from 2011 till 2017, 2018, pretty regularly, and was building on my presence online. I remember you were the coolest guy in the world if you got 100 favorites on a picture on Flickr.com, which Yahoo bought and destroyed. It's really bad now, but back in the day it was really good. And so that was my first learning about like communities and delayed gratification and even trading with people too. It's actually, it's even bigger than it was back then, a big Lego economy online too, like trading and whether that be custom molds of like special World War II guns and different cool kind of custom molds, or just like raw pieces like 32 cents for each of these leaves. If you can find them for 22, you can arbitrage them. I was mailing checks to people, mailing money orders, Western Union, getting scammed, all that, right? And so did that for a couple of years. And then I get into high school. It's still incredibly secret. So I don't even really show my face, honestly, on it much besides like Skype calls with my homies and everything. And my favorite part was always trading with people. And one of my friends was like, yo, like I've been getting all these cool shoes. I know the shoe game from playing basketball in high school. And he's got these crazy shoes. I'm like, dude, like, how are you able to afford this, man? Like, we're making $5-6 a flip on Legos, but I might only do that once a week besides the conventions. Right. And he's like, oh, I've actually been flipping shoes now too. I'm like, oh, cool. I could probably do that. So he proceeds to scam me for $500, 2 different deals, completely my fault, by the way. I really just blindly trusted him, but he showed me the game. He put me in the Facebook groups, and I started to dive into the shoe community heavily too. And it's pretty funny looking back because I hid them from my parents under my bed, actually, because I didn't want them like thinking I was like buying shoes to wear them or anything. I was literally just trading and all that. And so I literally hid them under my bed and was doing that pretty quietly on Facebook. Got a minimum wage job, $7.50 an hour, I think, in Pennsylvania. I think it's still that, which is crazy, but still doing that. And then that kind of showed me once again that I knew that there was a niche Lego community, got a lot of value from that. Now I learned there's a niche sneaker community, start to get a lot of value from that, and start to make significantly more money too as a result because it's more scalable, right? And then at the same time, I'm getting into the early part of high school, and I get the opportunity to run my basketball team's Twitter account, which was super fun because we had guys that were going Division I. One of our guys just won the national championship for Florida, but it was a really good team basically, and I was a big part of it because I grew up on campus, so it was like a lot of tradition with it and everything. So I'm growing the Twitter account from the ground up. I think I grew it from 0 to 700 followers in a year, and I think it only has like 1,200 now. So I did a pretty damn good job in that 1 year, 7 or 8 years ago, basically. And I just really enjoyed like tagging the big media outlets and getting retweets. And when I would see college coaches following it and like, damn, okay, clearly doing something good here. That post got a lot of engagement and everything. And then weirdly enough, you'd think I would have done the same for my shoes, but I kept shoes completely private, just like Facebook groups and everything, but never publicly. And then eventually started to learn in college that about like Gary Vee and personal branding. And you see like this guy, he's, older and making all these videos and tons of people are liking it and they're really helpful for me. Start to read a bunch of books and learn that there's online business outside of shoes and outside of trading Legos with people. So I technically been in e-commerce for a while without actually doing any e-commerce or knowing that he was e-commerce basically, and eventually get plugged in that there's selling on Amazon's a thing and that you don't just have to sell shoes. I'll never forget like the laundry detergent I saw someone selling and I was like, how the heck are people selling that? Like I thought you only had to do shoes. And so I get into that. but never actually start. Just quietly learn about the reselling community. Side hustle. Chaz, I believe his page is Side Hustle Network. So I would go to his live streams while I was studying for class on Tuesday nights, I remember in 2018. And he was like, he would always bring people on, and it'd be like someone who is selling on Poshmark full time, or someone who was doing used books on Amazon full time. And these people were like just so much more type of the people I could relate to than the adults in the sneaker world that were like full tats, Lambos, different shoes every day, like significantly more expensive lifestyle. And I come from a small town in Pennsylvania. So the resellers that Chaz was showing were, guys like us, right? Everyday people, where it's like they have a family, they got good stuff going on. They maybe had a successful career otherwise, or they're doing it part-time with a successful career like I was looking to do in like finance or something like that. And so that was a really cool gateway into the reselling community, that there were adults doing it that weren't like super flashy. And the cool thing was a lot of them were sharing their journey online too. I was like, damn, that's pretty cool, right? And Gary Vee was telling me hardcore to do it too. And then you start to see there's other adults doing it too, and everything. It's pretty cool. And I read Crush It, or the first one is Crush It. Yeah, the black and green one, right? The black and green one. So I read that. I was like, damn, man, that makes a ton of sense. So I pick out the Flip Smiles name, and I start it January 2019. Best decision I ever made. And hardcore shoe documentation, shoe reselling journey. And then summer of 2019, I get into selling used books on Amazon. 2020 hits, can't get any more used books. So I go back to shoe reselling, and but hardcore, still following all the Amazon community. So I'm keeping tabs. I'm in some group chats because I'm in the mix, man. So few people even give themselves a chance to be in the mix. So I'm in this group chat of like Carter Maxwell. You guys have probably heard of him, and a whole bunch of guys, Ben Books the World, bunch of guys. Still, I think it's actually still going today. I'm not in it anymore. But a bunch of guys that I still am friends with today. And I eventually learned, once the pool craze was happening, I'm like, damn, how the heck are these guys doing this stuff? And I thought as a beginner Amazon seller, you could only sell used stuff, or at least that's what I thought I could only sell. And then 2020, as I say, when like modern online arbitrage became a thing, early 2021 or late 2020, I finished college early to chase my online business dreams. I was smart enough to set it up to graduate early. Because not smart enough to graduate early, I was just doing a bunch of extra work, but smart enough to set it up that way. Cause I knew if I gave this make money online thing a shot, I would be able to be successful with it. Cause I spent 2020, like really crashing and burning on Amazon, making a couple grand a month, selling Facebook ads to medical spas, and then shoe reselling as well. So like it probably made like 50 grand in 2020, honestly, profit, which is not bad for, senior year of college, really part-time. And then 2021 hits. Lot more rumblings about Amazon arbitrage for name brand stuff being a really good thing on Twitter. Joe Hart's out there, a bunch of guys are still around, say it's pretty cool. And so I start to see that you can sell name brand stuff. I give it a go on gating a couple things. It works quick. I still have that old shoe inventory, then turn it on, boom, FBM stuff moving like crazy. I do the only thing I've ever known how to do consistently, which is talk about what I'm doing to attract random people on the internet. It's the only thing that's ever consistently worked in my life. And then I'm watching a Gary Vee video a couple weeks into posting about OA, maybe a week or two in. And he's like, how could you not reply to every comment? And I'm like, all right, man, I'm not just going to reply to every comment. I'm going to introduce myself in the DMs to every comment. And that first night, I swear, it's crazy. That first night, that first picture I was looking at, Garrett commented on it. And then we've been best friends ever since. We get on a call. He puts me on a bunch of game with like old school online arbitrage, automated stuff back when that would work and everything. And it's been kind of a dream come true ever since. I did like 30K that second month, rev, 5K profit. Really lucky to be able to, be living at my parents' house, no expenses, COVID, nothing going on, nothing to do except make money with the stuff. And I did like $1 million in sales that first year. And it's kind of been a dream come true ever since with that stuff. So, pretty cool. Like first year self-employment, like over 150K profit with OA, 50K profit in December, bunch of just like really hardcore, like retail arbitrage, sell a bunch of FBM stuff, then go pick it up, drive it straight to the post office, bring the labels with me. Like all the stuff people still do to scale up fast today is exactly what I was doing it. But I just feel like there weren't that many people publicly talking about it back then. So that's kind of like the big kind of origin story of getting going. With that stuff is just kind of like always tinkering around with different businesses. But where I think I had a big advantage was I was always kind of cool with, or I was just kind of bored enough, man. Like I never went out in college much, never got into any like kind of mischief or anything, like any bad stuff, drinking, set, none of that. So I just always kind of had nothing going on where I had nothing better to do than like, all right, man, Not a lot of people like Legos, but there's people that like Legos online. Let me find them. None of my friends like shoe reselling in person, or at least not a lot. Let me go find the guys that are doing really good with it online. And so basically I'm just like a product of digital community, as I guess, for like 15 years pretty much at this point.
Interesting. There's a ton to unpack there. And I'd love to go down every single little note that I wrote, but there's two things that really stuck out. Number one is, and it seems like you've had this ever since you were a kid, you just got this belief that, oh, if that guy does it, I should be able to figure it out. Were you just born that way? Is that something that your parents helped you grow into? Is that just something that you're like, well, if I can figure out how to build these Legos, I can probably figure out how to build a business? Where did that come from?
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. I like my schedule these days. I like work in the morning and then work at night and a little bit in the afternoon. We're ironically doing this afternoon, but I typically don't do much in the afternoon. And but do have like a super, super busy schedule 7 days a week and everything. And where I got that was playing travel sports as a kid and then going to a very demanding high school and middle school for that matter, but playing travel sports the whole time. So like my normal day would be like 7 till 3 school, then 3:30 to 5:30 sports, and then 7 to 9 travel sports, and then weekends travel sports as well, practice being during the weekdays and everything. And that I think like, doing a lot of just constant competition my whole life has brought a lot of self-belief, because you get out what you put in. And more and more, even through business, you start to learn that like hard work is a skill, consistency is a skill. And then also I hit the absolute jackpot in that my parents never made a ton of money, but they managed it really well. And my grandparents were very successful business-wise. And I was lucky to get kind of a combination of both those, and that I love learning about money, talking about money, but I also like earning it. And I think a lot of people get either neither or one of those. And I was very lucky to get both, right? And so like, I didn't have like anything crazy growing up, but enough where like, it was always just kind of like, go play sports, and now it's kind of go do business and still play sports a little bit here. But the competition's what taught the self-belief, I think, definitely.
Nice. You also mentioned delayed gratification. And now I know you're not old enough to have kids yet, but I've got kids, and trying to teach them delayed gratification has been one of the most difficult things in my life. And we see that among adults too. They want it now. How do you flex that muscle? How do you grow that muscle that, okay, it's okay that I have to speak to a brick wall for 6 months before people find me?
Yeah. Okay. So, in that respect, it was that my goal was never to make money. My goal was always just to be less lonely in that kind of respect, honestly. In that, like, it was just always like whenever someone in like middle school would find out about the Lego stuff, I'd be like, oh, like what if they tell other people and everything? But like, hey, the guys on Skype, man, that were in Orlando and wherever else they were, like Virginia, Jacksonville, you know what I mean? They were down 24/7 to jam about this stuff because they felt the same way. And I feel the exact same way about Amazon, and that like pretty much no one in our personal life really cares about it too much, but there's other people that are obsessed with it. And every niche obsession has that these days. And Amazon specifically is an incredibly good one because it builds you like financially too. It doesn't just fulfill like a social respect, right? But I think the people that do the best financially have the social component to the Amazon business.
Okay.
It's funny. I read something recently about competitive sports as a child and how it kind of teaches you that losing's okay, and it kind of acclimates you to the real world where, it's not all just wins and stuff. So your background story certainly didn't do anything to object against that. So I like that. So within that story, there you were scammed for $500 and then you met Garrett, right? So I mean, they're both extremes. There's massive wins, massive losses in that story. So what's your playbook for finding a community, and what advice would you give to someone who says, okay, I'll take the leap on how to vet people and find your people, as you like to say?
Yeah. So the interesting part is those were actually like 7 years apart, actually, in that like getting scammed was in 2014. So I was 15 at the time. And then I met Garrett when I was like, I think it was 22, maybe 23, but I don't know, 22. Right. And everything. So the key is that there was actually money on the line, the first one, and that I was actually doing business with him, but Garrett and I were just getting on Zoom and everything. But the key that here is that Looking back, there was significantly more reason to trust Garrett, obviously, because he had a page. I'm like, damn, this dude's getting pallets at that little house. That's crazy. And like 2 months later, I went to his house and met him and everything. But okay, here we go. At its core, right? If we could design the Amazon, specifically from an Amazon seller's perspective, if we could design the Amazon seller that makes the least money, how would we do it, right? They would have no one else in their life that sells on Amazon. They would have to make every mistake on their own. They would have to find every lead on their own. They would have to learn everything on their own. And they would have no outside input from anyone that either had what they want or was going after what they wanted as well, right? If we could design the worst Amazon seller in the world, and they would quit super quick because they'd have no outside source of motivation, right? If we could design the worst Amazon seller in the world, that's probably what we would do to create the worst Amazon seller in the world. The problem is that's how most Amazon sellers are, right? There's no one in their life that does this with them, right? They have never spoken to a single other human being that does this. No one that sells on Amazon has any idea that they sell on Amazon, right? They've never seen another Amazon seller. They have no outside gauge on that, right? And I think so if you just do the opposite of all that, it becomes incredibly clear, right? And if my goal were to meet a bunch of people, here's what I would do. I would consistently post online, showing my face, showing my journey, showing my story, and I would do it for a long time, and I would take feedback from the market, what people relate to, what people don't relate to. I'd look at the people ahead of me. How are they moving? What are they doing? What are they, sharing? If I made a mistake, I'd share it. If I was successful with something, I'd share it. Right. And everything, that's exactly what I did. All those posts are still up there. And by default, because everyone else or lots of other people give themselves fake labels that do not mean anything. I'm not a social media person. That's not me. I don't want to show my face, yada, yada, yada. All the opportunities reserved for the folks that don't give themselves those fake negative beliefs. Labels, my bad, not beliefs, but same thing.
Yeah. It's fascinating. You almost reverse engineer how to do it wrong and then do the opposite. That's pretty interesting. It's almost, that's a good sourcing tip that we like to give too, is learn how to kick out bad leads faster. And that actually makes you a better sourcer. That's interesting. Same strategy.
I completely agree with that too. Yeah. And that I completely agree with that as well. In that respect, really in terms of solving any problem, because we're hardwired to look for negativity.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something earlier today, or maybe last night while I was scrolling Twitter, and someone was posting about something that they're building in the Amazon space, and it looks awesome. It's Nick Bezac. I think we all know.
Who was on his ass to get active online, man? A couple years ago, it was me, and I love him to death, and I see him every time I go to Pennsylvania still.
Oh, nice. So someone in Nick's comments were like, dude, you need to gatekeep the shit out of this. And you've done the exact opposite. You've shared free information. I mean, you got an 8-hour sourcing video. Like, how do you fight back against the people who want to gatekeep everything and say it's wrong to give away information and kind of, I guess, how useful is that in your business and in your life?
Yeah, so it depends kind of what the goal is, and that obviously because I'm a partner at SellerAmp, I have reason to specifically like help people get really good at sourcing, which most people have no reason to do that, right? And everything. But in terms of like the sharing information stuff, I just think there's no way I'm gonna make less money or make less progress over time if there's no way I'm gonna not make more money if more entrepreneurs know, like, and trust me. Right? No one's life ever got worse with more entrepreneurs knowing, liking, and trusting them. Right. And especially in the digital era, right? Considering that, these communities exist online and everything, right? There's less and less people even trying to get any of that market share or meet people, et cetera, et cetera. So by default, it just becomes pretty simple that like pretty much every person I'd assume you guys have had on here, they say the same thing. I did this for a long time and I found a couple other people to do it with. And it was cool. I recently had Perry Coughlin on for a coaching call with my guys, right? And he was talking all about how he's had the same group chat since like 2017. And I'm like, bro, everything good in my life came from things like that. You know what I mean? And I see like, from people we've helped and everything, like the ones that win the quickest just work together. And it's cool because they get to compound. Mr. Beast talks about this all the time. Like, he gets on calls with people all the time, even to this day, but especially back in the day. And all the dudes he's been working with heavily, like they all made massive progress over time because they got to learn quicker. They got to avoid mistakes quicker. They got to find opportunity a lot faster and everything. And it's a super powerful thing. And the beautiful thing is it costs no money. And I'd also argue that it actually costs less time too, right? In that you guys spend way less time than you would otherwise have to on your Amazon business, because you can work with each other and you work with other people and you have for years, right? And that pretty quickly, like in my respect too, like I spent way less time sourcing than most beginners do, because I was working with my homies, because I met them on Instagram, and I was a lot more effective because I was learning from their mistakes and compounding off their opportunity, and vice versa. Right. So the whole, I don't have time to be in the community, I don't think you have time not to, or maybe I'm just not smart enough. Right. And maybe I need other people, which I will admit to that being the case. Right. And I think, but I don't think you have time not to, because if you don't, then you guarantee that you have to make every mistake on your own, and that you have to pay for information long term if you want to. I don't think you should have to do that. I think you should give yourself the chance to not have to. Right. And you get to avoid a lot of, and if you don't, you have to make every mistake on your own and everything long term. And I don't think that's a good long term strategy for stuff, because we can all agree that you are the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I think you're the product of the 5 Amazon sellers you spend the most time with too. So naturally, if you don't spend any time with Amazon sellers, you're going to struggle compared to the guys that do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's probably one of the most underrated advantages of a community, is being able to learn from others' mistakes, because I've always said there's a certain set of mistakes that you're going to make as an Amazon seller. So if you can kind of crowdsource some of those solutions, it's definitely a leg up. I'm amazed by the complete seemingly lack of imposter syndrome. That's a foreign concept to me. So on that note, what advice would you give someone with imposter syndrome, or like myself or anyone else who wants to start creating Amazon content and building an audience, and then talk about not burning out too? I'm interested in that part of it.
Sure. Yeah. So I think like almost no one should create content, but everyone should have a bare minimum presence, right? Because there's going to come a time when you got to ask a question to someone. There's going to come a time when you need a favor from someone, or you want to buy a service from someone or whatever, and you just get way higher quality answers when they click your profile, they can see you're serious about the stuff, right? So like, that's why like I'm always big on that, because you're going to need that at some point. And I just know for a fact, as someone who answers a lot of DMs, the guys who I can see are in the game, they get a significantly higher quality answer. And that might be incorrect, but it's just the way the world is, period. Right. And everything. So kind of a couple things in respect to imposter syndrome. So like feeling like I have nothing to share is a kind of a big one that comes up often. Good. If you were going to war, would you want to go to war purely by yourself, or go to war with other people that are working on the same thing? The answer is obviously the latter, right? So you have to behave like the person or you have to do the actions required to get those people and everything too. So I think a lot of people kind of get intimidated by the idea of creating content, and I think almost no one should. But I think everyone should bare minimum document, because otherwise you guarantee having to spend way more time on it, having to work way harder, having to make significantly more mistakes, right? And so we'll get kind of tactical here real quick. It's whatever social media platform you consume heavily, which is going to be Instagram or Twitter, almost every case. Some people, TikTok's a little bit harder because it's way less follower based and everything, but regardless, whoever, right? Talk about what you're doing, right? We can all agree that, there's no way your life gets worse if you know a lot more people that either have the same thing that you are gunning for, or are also working on it, right? And everything. So, I had nothing to share in respect to showing other people what I was doing or teaching people. That came naturally over time as I was figuring out. But, the nice thing is that if you're listening to this and you've made one sale on Amazon, you've probably made more sales than I'd love to learn the data on this, man. Probably, 70% of people watching YouTube content about it or something like that. It's some high metric, you know what I mean? Some super high metric on that. And, you're not aiming to, or I don't think you should aim to educate people when you have no results to speak for, but I do think you should aim to document your progress, one, selfishly, to see how you've changed over time, to see how you've evolved. I think it's one of the coolest things looking back on my old stuff now. From very selfishly, obviously saying that and everything. And then unselfishly too, just like it's lonely as hell to do this stuff. Sorry for cursing, but it's super lonely to do this stuff on your own, man. And that like everything that most of us as human beings have ever enjoyed, which is, primarily if we take a look, it's like, okay, sports, video games, whatever, right? Whatever, other stuff pretty much the only reason those things are fun is because you did it with people you liked. So what makes you think, for anyone listening, right? What makes you think you're going to love selling on Amazon just doing it by yourself? It's kind of irrational, right? When everything you've ever enjoyed, for the most part, you did it on your own. You did it with people you liked. Vast majority of things, right? So it's kind of irrational to think that that this would be incredibly engaging and fun to do it on your own. Now, the nice thing is that most of your hobbies, you did it with people you like. They didn't make you money. This, you can do it with people you like, and it can make you money. It's a dream come true. And that's why I'm like so unbelievably grateful for all my guys that I've met now here over the years. And luckily living in Miami now, I get together with them a lot in person and everything. That's super fun. And I'm very, very grateful. And I never take it for granted.
That's awesome. There's, speaking of, coaching people on what they should do, people, of course, are going to be worried. Well, I'm going to look stupid. How do you coach somebody through that mental block that it's okay to look stupid for a little while?
Yeah, for sure. So there's kind of a couple ways in that you can go away from the negative or you can go towards the positive. And that the going away from the negative is that you guarantee if you don't, that you have to do things the very time consuming, lonely, tedious, mistake heavy, opportunity sparse way, or going towards the positive in that you take those first couple steps and it gives you a chance to get that upside too as well. It's just something you got to accept as an adult human being. 80 years ago, you would have been in a war. There's lots of wars going on these days. Be very grateful that, your biggest problem is not having a couple dudes to work on your online business with yet, and that you have the entire blueprint sitting right there waiting for you to go ahead and do it right there. So I kind of like logical reframes based on that too and everything. And they're like, we have no problems these days. In the modern world, we have no problems relative to what we used to, right? Primarily, right? And I'm thinking that we should be very grateful for that and use it to, really, really clean up with the stuff. And it's insane how quick these great things can come together with just like 6 months, a year, 18 months of the right actions. And so many people miss out on ever giving anything a chance raw. So I see so many people business model hopping these days, right? Because they think that they think is Amazon saturated, not can I get better than all the Amazon beginners across 18 months? Of course you can, right? It's like, does drop shipping work in 2025? Is drop shipping dead? No, the business model is not the solution. The business model is also not the problem. You are the problem, and you are also the solution. And that you guys, after however many years in business, you could spin up most things to 5 to 10K a month profit within 6 months pretty quick if you had to. If you needed food, right? You could, right? And that's due to network. It's due to problem solving skills, belief in yourself, belief in different opportunities. Right? Because you've proved to yourself you're capable of. And I think that should be everyone's goal. And you just continue to stack those things every day. Right. And that in my own kind of case of that is that I didn't think I could keep the business going like I did in Pennsylvania, moving to Florida and knowing that I was going to be able to have a lot more fun because my friends are nearby. And I didn't think I'd be able to go to the gym consistently. And now I've done that every day for 2 years. And you just start to stack these micro wins and these micro habits together. And, good things start to happen and everything, and that also too, there's like some health stuff oriented with that, as you go down, like the seed oil rabbit hole and stuff like, good things start to happen as a result of doing that as well. It's a way separate topic too on that. But, you just have to be willing to accept that, no one cares about me as much as I think they do. And if I don't take these steps, I guarantee I never get some of the upside that every single person comes on the Buy Box Bandits and says that, hey, I did this for a couple years, stuck around long enough to get a little momentum. And I had a couple guys and gals I work with on the stuff too that helped me avoid mistakes. It's more fun that way. I'm excited to get home from work and hop on Zoom with them. And it makes the world go around these days, man. Thank God. Imagine if this was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and your only chance at finding other awesome entrepreneurs was if someone was in your high school class or if there was some other random entrepreneur at work that, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like we just have these unbelievable chances. And I think we all got to take more advantage of them, and majorly myself included.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. It's a lot of it before we became so connected and the world got a lot smaller with internet connections. You're able to, you kind of be at the mercy of whatever your best friends were into, so that's a good point. Miles, I'm trying to think of the most common objections that a listener would have right now. So from that perspective, what would you tell someone who hears you talking on this episode and gets inspired? What would you tell them to do immediately, like this week? And say it isn't a beginner, say somebody's sitting there going, well, I've been kind of muddling along for a year and a half now with mediocre results. I should give this a shot. What would you tell them to do this week?
Yeah, for sure. So I know you guys have a good Facebook group. There's a lot of good talks in there, right? And then I do love owning the distribution too. So like if you go on Twitter a lot, make a Twitter profile, Okay, so now here's the first thing. So many people will like use a random generated username. They'll make no cover photo when I'll be like, yo, get a cover. They'll be like, what's that? Instead of asking ChatGPT, do that, right? And everything. But yeah, it's building out a profile. Name doesn't matter, right? Promise you, name doesn't matter, right? And it's who you are, what you're working on, and what you've done so far. So, for me back in the day, that could be, let's call it 2021 miles. So it's, Miles, age 22, Pennsylvania, former sneaker reseller, taking on Amazon arbitrage or something like that. You see how you can gain a lot of context immediately from that, right? Like, okay, this dude's, younger, he's in Pennsylvania and he used to resell shoes. Ooh, maybe like that's immediate commonality right there, right? And working on Amazon arbitrage, that's the main thing. So it's getting the profile set up there and then thinking of designing the worst profile in the world. If we want to design the worst social media profile in the world, there'd be zero information. There'd be zero face shown. It'd be a completely random name. There'd be no cover photo if it were Twitter. There'd be no bio if it were Instagram, right? I would be able to learn nothing from coming to that page, especially not about your business interest and what you've done or what you're working on or where you're going, right? So the key would be to add zero context right there. And you just do the opposite and then it becomes pretty easy right there. And anything, but yeah, it's getting into rhythm, posting stuff, right? As an Amazon seller working on stuff, you're doing stuff all day that you can show that you're doing. And each little thing you put out has a greater and greater chance of, bringing people to you and everything. And right, like been lucky enough to, help over 50 people hit 100K a month on Amazon. And like pretty much all of them, major common trend was a couple of guys and gals they worked on this stuff with. And major trend of folks who I see struggle is not having someone to go over these things with or shoot a text or get a mistake fixed and everything. And there's just a massive time lag if you do things on your own that you have to wait so long for feedback versus if you have a couple other sellers with your feedback loop on a product being good might be 15 minutes rather than 15 days. And that compounds massively. Life is short, Yeah.
What if you were coaching somebody specifically on the social media part of it, what would be good content from somebody getting started in your opinion?
Yeah. So it's something to start because no one does anything, right? And the people that do get all the results, right? And everything. But yeah, it's as simple as, hey, sharing your boxes that you're shipping out, sharing your first sale milestone. What I love is seeing new sellers where they can post on I see this all the time on Instagram. They'll post like, hey, has anyone ungated XYZ? How do you do it? And it's cool that new people who just started can for free get helped by other people that are more successful than that was never possible outside of like, I'd seen like, church groups and, education, even education costs money, right? In formal education systems and everything. It's super cool, right? So it's like, you're sharing what you're doing, man, right? If you go back on a lot of my stuff, it'd be like a selfie with the FBM packages. And like that, like one post on Instagram that 3 people see is like exponentially more than most Amazon sellers will ever do, right? And I know because I'm the one that has to, share this stuff here because I know how hard it is to get through to people about this. And then but like logically, if you listen to most people that come on this, they pretty much say the same thing. They did it for a while and they did it with people they liked and everything. But yeah, it's sharing what you're doing, man. So it's boxes, it's shipments, it's a mistake you made. It's things you want to learn from other people, right? And that was what was cool was like, I was pretty much in a league of one immediately and that very few other people are posting. So people are just flocking to help me for free, which is an unbelievable blessing. But I actually gave myself a chance to get it, which was cool. And, anything I do in the future, I'm going to, keep that student mindset around it.
Thank you for listening to the Clear the Shelf podcast. My magnanimous co-host Chris Reselling has put together a gift for you for being a listener. It's called the Monthly Goal Tracking Spreadsheet, and it's free. The spreadsheet will help you break down and track how much you've purchased, which should be a leading indicator of how much you will sell, and then you'll be able to track how much you've sold as well as your estimated monthly profit on a daily basis. This will all feed into the daily averages so you can ensure that you're on track to meet your goals each and every month. Grab it for free today over at cleartheshelf.com/goal-tracking. Thanks again for being a listener. Now back to the show.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good. That's good to think about. I get worried about even sharing mistakes that I make now because of course they still happen, but like that changes my mind. I'm actually gonna share a mistake I made just the other day. A stupid mistake, but all right. So like you've got YouTube, you got software. I'm sure there's some affiliate stuff somewhere in there. There's coaching, there's courses. Like, how do you think about stacking income streams without stretching yourself too thin?
Yeah, so I think it partially depends on like goal as well as where you're at in life, right? As well, so like kind of what you're looking to do as a result of it. But then like I don't know, it was always cool. Like I always looked at like a Rake and Profits videos back in the day. He'd be like, how my 7 income streams that made me $13,000, and I always thought that was super cool. So I used to look at that a lot. I always thought that was really neat. Like I just have jammed positive information for like 7 years in a row, every day, just about making money, learning things, online business, etc. Right there. But the nice thing is that they kind of become evidently clear over time, man. You know what I mean? They kind of show themselves. Like, let's call it from like a my Amazon perspective, right? So like I got started selling used books on Amazon, talk about what I was doing online, right? And then eventually people start DMing you, hey, what's the app you're scanning with? Oh, interesting. Start to talk to the founder a little bit. Did I know I could get a 25% affiliate link? Wow, damn, I'm making $6 a month. There's my coffee, right? And so it kind of becomes evidently clear on what the next ones are. Just one off, keeping a sharp observation of what other folks are doing, right? And then just listening to the market too. And they're like, that was where I started, man. Probably similar to you guys, was like software affiliate and everything. And then, like leads too, people asking for that. Okay, I'm good at that. Maybe got some extra time, maybe hire a VA to help out with it and everything. So yeah, it's unbelievable what's possible as a result of that. But why all those opportunities are available is because so few people give themselves a chance to get it. Like I think there's gaping holes, man, in like the virtual assistant placement sphere of Amazon. And I think there's major holes for someone to like really scale a prep center business and have like New Hampshire location, Delaware location, go on every podcast, every show, and just scale the crap out of that, serving the OA market, and so many things like that I just think there's gaping opportunities for it. But so few people have a chance to do it because they don't take the time to build the trust in the market to do it, right? And everything. So it's cool. They kind of just show themselves, man. I really think they show themselves like kind of keeping going with the book example, like so selling books on Amazon and then get some software affiliate action in there too. Right. And literally get to talk to people that are doing crazy things just because I'm in the mix, as are they. Very other few people are in the mix. And the nice thing is that's a decision to be in the mix. Right. And then start to learn that people are selling on third-party sites that aren't Amazon. They're selling textbooks directly that are restricted. And I'm like, damn, man, I went to the thrift store and found these awesome restricted textbooks. And now I can dispose of them on booksrun.com or wherever it was called. That's a new thing. And I was always just like, you kind of learn like the kind of BS that the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. But as someone who's adolescent to making money online, me 4 or 5 years ago, and even hopefully me in many ways to future things today, right? Like it's fascinating to kind of stack these little things and little new opportunities. Like I remember I was cleaning up during COVID with like the Robinhood affiliate link because I was sharing my index fund investing journey, right? And everything. And it's just pretty cool. And then another thing that I got to make some money on too was like affiliating for the big sneaker groups back in the day. And in like 2020 before OA, after selling books on Amazon. That was pretty cool. You get to learn new things as a result of that and everything. And I've always just kind of like, I was super lucky. Like I was saying that my schedule has always been super packed ever since like high school and even middle school. Honestly, like I had mandatory sports 3 seasons, 5th to 12th grade, and travel sports during at least 2 of those seasons, typically fall and spring, but at least every spring through high school. Right. So like my schedule's always been tight. I've been very lucky with that. I think that's something I've learned that I'm going to like do to my kids, not do to, but like, help them out with, I think is set their schedule up super, super tight. Cause I think that was a major blessing, to get used to that. So I don't know, man, I've never really thought about like burnout or occasionally get frustrated and stuff, but like, I believe so much in what's going to be possible if I'm able to hit my goals. And I feel very lucky that I have, a relatively clear path to go ahead and do that. It's a cool thing, but like, I mean, I do have to say, thinking back kind of on that, like I was like, how the hell am I going to make 10 grand a month profit in 2020? I'm like, how the heck are these guys doing? That guy's making Amazon Let's do an XYZ, like 1,000 ASINs got a $13,000 Rakuten check. How is that possible? Right. I think it was even 5,000 also, but it might've been 12 grand. I think it was 12 grand. But it might've even been less than that. It's like, how are they able to do that? And then over time you start to realize like week over week, a little bit of momentum here, a little bit of momentum there, new income stream here, new opportunity there, get $200 for a sponsored post. Damn, that was easy. I didn't even have to sell any items to do that, right? They become abundantly clear, honestly. And as long as you're clear on your long-term vision and your goal, I think it becomes pretty easy to do them right there. And then also just absolutely just pounding your brain with positive information around entrepreneurship and business and money and finance. Reading all the big books is kind of the starting point to that. The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, 4-Hour Work Week. The Slight Edge is really good. The Compounding Effect. Starting to read those, I think, is excellent because you start to see that people are living good, and they're living good as a result of their decisions, right? And that's pretty cool, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so what would you say to somebody who is, there are people out there that are going to pause before they offer a product or service because they fear the term selling out. So what advice would you give to overcome that mental block?
Ooh, yeah. That's an interesting one too. And, every now and again, you kind of feel it here or there, but it's just like, all right, don't make the money. That sounds way worse than, that just sounds way worse. You know what I mean? Not making the money guaranteed sounds way worse on there. But the nice thing is it's like, for example, like when I used to sell Facebook ads as a service in 2020, this was only for like 6 months, but like I would get on the phone to close people and it'd be like a random medical spa in Louisiana that had no reason, like even having a business probably like, and everything, but neither did I really at that point. And I would never like push them to close, or I wasn't able to offer guarantees or anything because I wasn't really super confident in the service. But like, dude, if you're confident that you're really good at hiring VAs and you can, there's all types like guarantees, like $100 million offers by Hormozy. It gives you a really good idea of like how to build an offer and risk reversals and everything. So, if you believe in what you're selling and you can even reduce the risk on the side of the consumer too and everything, you can really build some win-win things, on that. And then it's also just like not worrying about what people think, and that like, no one's going to, like, so many people that were annoying a couple of years ago in the Amazon space aren't even around, you know what I mean? So it's like, doesn't even matter, So much of like the things we worry about never end up materializing,
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, it's like pretty much everything, honestly, for me, most things.
Yeah.
You keep moving every day, keep swimming.
What I'm gonna turn this into a little bit of a coaching session for myself. Where do you come up with as many content? I mean, you pump YouTube videos like I wish I did. Okay. How do you come up with these content ideas? And then of the content ideas you come up with, how do you know which ones that you should actually run with?
Ooh, okay. That's a super good one. So partially it's a relentless study of what people that are winning are doing, which is mostly other niches. That's the cool thing, is like, it's mostly other niches. So like, that it's like, looking at just what's popping up on their algorithm. Why is it doing well? What thumbnail did well? What angle? How are they packaging things? Right. So I keep a really good eye on that type of stuff. And I thoroughly enjoy it, man, which is part of it. And then I don't know, sometimes I think I'm like sick in the head or something. I just always feel better when I film something. I think it's just like I work in the morning on like deep work. So I think I just feel significantly better when I filmed something in the morning, getting up, getting talking, getting in the zone a little bit, and everything. So in terms of like doing it, it's making it really easy to do it, which comes down to compartmentalizing different part of the process, having good team members to help out with it, making it really easy to get things done. Right. And that's, there's a lot that goes into that from like a technical perspective, making it really easy to film, but then also keeping your diet clean and everything, right? And putting good information into your brain too. That helps heavily. And then ideas, it's all looking at what other people in other niches are doing primarily. If there's one purely from like a YouTube perspective, there's this one study YouTube channel that he just talks about how to study better. And he does a lot of like good titles and stuff. So I get a lot of game from him, a couple of newsletters here and there, and then the occasional course, but primarily looking at what people in the market are doing that are winning in other niches primarily.
Interesting. Okay.
Which that's like actually pretty easy to do, because like YouTube search is so effective for seeing that kind of stuff, So like, the most popular page or the popular tab on someone's YouTube channel is full of a ton of game. I'll like print stuff out, put it all, look at why. It's a bunch of stuff like that. It's fascinating stuff, man. And this is my favorite stuff to talk about too, as well. Definitely. Like I could talk about Amazon stuff all day, but I could totally talk about this stuff all day too.
Yeah. I wouldn't have expected the boomer move of printing stuff out and looking at it.
Yeah. To be fair though, yeah, I don't necessarily mean as much printing it out, more so putting it in like a swipe file, for example, which is like, I'd say like kind of digitally printing out, like screenshotting it. You're right though. Yeah. Technically not printing it out though.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Technically not. Although like thinking that actually probably would be a good way to do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of Justin Welsh with this question.
Perfect example of someone winning in a different niche that I like have enjoyed learning from. Yeah.
Absolutely. And he talks about kind of proliferating an idea. You know, you take one idea and it becomes content for multiple channels. What's your framework for taking one idea for content and then spinning it into Twitter, YouTube, and any other social media platforms you're on?
Oh yeah, that is kind of like the key. That is totally the key to getting like content stuff effectively done. And this is kind of, to be clear for anyone listening, this is us changing from the first part of the podcast, talking about the documentation side, the minimum viable product for success as an Amazon seller, to kind of shifting over to the actual content creation side that I don't think many people should do, but folks that want to, it can be an incredibly good thing, right? And so yeah, so like say for example, like the topic of ungating, if we go through like, okay, what questions need to be answered for an ungate to successfully happen? It's like, okay, does the product have to be listed on Amazon? Does it have to be the exact ASIN? Can you do multiple orders? Or does it have to be one order of 10 plus? What happens if they decline? What happens if they say they need the supplier? Does it have to be the same color? Do I need to download it as a PDF? Can I screenshot it? Should I put more information? If you see how there's like 9 questions there, and we could probably rattle off another 10 or 20 if we had to, right? That can go in a YouTube video because that's, 10 minutes, 15 minutes there, right? But then what might go in a short is I might go, here's how to get ungated on beauty on Amazon in 2025. And then explain either beauty wouldn't be a great example because beauty is typically auto ungate, but let's call it grocery, for example. It's okay. You go on Walmart, you type in great value, you find a product that's also listed on Amazon, you buy 10, you download an order confirmation email as PDF. That's what you submit off to Amazon. 35 seconds right there. That's how to ungate grocery in 2025 right there, right? And then I'll link YouTube short, I'll link the full grocery ungate, or I'll say, get a little further tactical, comment grocery, and I'll send you a full ungating tour. You can get a little bit more advanced right there. But then that would be like a short form video of that. But then if I want to do a tweet, then it has to be way shorter, man, right? So it's like how to ungate grocery on Amazon in 2025, bullet, go on walmart.com, bullet, type in great value, bullet, find a product also listed on Amazon, bullet, buy 10, bullet, download the order confirmation email and submit it off to Amazon. And then I might put under it, like, expect to get declined 15 times. Keep submitting, right? And that would be kind of like how I'd perforate is a very intelligent word that I did. I just added that to my vocabulary. I appreciate that, Chris, and everything. But it'd be like, the big idea, then smaller to deliver it. Because so my dad was my English teacher and he was my basketball coach for a good amount of my high school. And he would always say, it's not the pass. And this is funny because he would talk about this in class actually as a way to work on group project. But he'd say, it's not the pass you want to throw, it's the pass they want to catch, right? So as a content creator, it's my job to deliver information they need or someone needs, at least I think they need, in as many ways as possible to give them a chance to effectively consume it and take action to get their desired result, basically in as many ways as possible.
That's good stuff. Okay. And again,
and that's like, you can, sorry to interrupt, Chris, but you can rattle those off. Like, for example, that's the kind of thing where that's the only thing that's ever worked content wise is that kind of stuff.
Interesting. You mentioned it. We've kind of switched to the whole content creation thing. And like I said, I'm kind of using this as a coaching session. So yeah, I've got a small audience across a few different platforms. If I were to come to you and say, listen, Miles, I just need to know what the next 1 or 2 steps I should take so I could 2x or 5x my own audience, what would you tell me to do?
I'd immediately email your email list and say, hey, this is Chris from Clear the Shelf. I'm looking for ideas on content you guys want to see, right? Shoot me a reply back to this with a video you want to see me make, and I'll throw in the bonus of XYZ if you do, right? And then instantly people start for free telling you what to do that'll help them. What a blessing. What a blessing, right? That. And then also what's winning in the marketplace in other niches. So say your objective being to help people sell on Amazon. What are the people that are helping people drop ship doing? What are the people that are helping people do affiliate marketing doing, right? Amazon search shows you the big players, YouTube search shows you the best players immediately, right? And then you go into their channel, you print out the first, not print out, you know what I mean, screenshot, right? But could print out, right? And then you print out the videos they posted recently. What's getting the most views? Why? What is that thumbnail better than others? What does the first 45 seconds look like, right? And I think so. Both of those things I think would be great. Yeah. So it's what's winning in the marketplace, and then what does my audience specifically want to see, and then I'm going to innovate better and do better than what currently serves what those folks were looking for. That's out there that they could be watching.
Okay. I know that's the right answer, and it's also simpler than I wanted to hear, but probably what I need to hear.
Oh, well, and it's quick too, right? You know what I mean? And that like kind of like I learned this from Hormozy, but he always talks about like how the quicker you can move from decision about doing something to doing it, the better. And I just feel such a rush of like knocking out a quick thing like that email, for example, and just build such good positive momentum. Like, for example, yesterday I spent like 45 minutes building this auto ungate resource for all my coaching guys, and it made me feel so unbelievably good. And I already got people making money from it already, right? In terms of auto ungate things they can move right away. And it's just like that made the whole rest of my day a lot better. And I just like I'd feel a high from that I just need to get as much as possible, basically.
Awesome.
It's interesting. You know, I hope people are reading between the lines, because you've given so many just naturally through your answers, you've given so many ideas about content possibilities, because even like the simple ungating, how many people out there, like everyone listening probably already knows how to ungate, you know, but you just talked about spinning it onto YouTube, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, you know. So it's amazing. Like I think we overthink that part. You know, we don't realize, you know, we kind of take for granted what we already know, you know, and
everyone
we don't realize
does,
that's actually content, you know.
Oh yeah. And that's
ideas.
Yeah, sorry. Fuck, my bad. Sorry about it. Sorry to interrupt, man. But yeah, like that's the nice thing is like if if you look at like the comments section on like most videos, like you realize almost everyone's completely brand new, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But it's our responsibility if we want to be people that serve them and to do it as best a way as possible to help them get those questions answered as easy as seamlessly as possible. Being completely honest, very selfishly, because it benefits us heavily, but it's also good and it benefits them too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a term called the curse of knowledge, where we have a hard time remembering what it was like before we knew something, you know, so getting over that could be a major content catalog for you. So I want to talk about longer form content. You have, I believe it's an 8-hour masterclass that you popped out there. So let's expand the attention spans and address that. Like, how do you keep someone engaged with during an 8-hour video?
Ooh, yeah. So it's kind of funny because like the average view duration is like, I think it's like 2% of it or something like that. Like it's shockingly low, right? Shockingly low. But at the same time, you know, a lot of people mention that video having been super helpful for them and all that. And it really just comes down to like consistently solving the next problem, right? It's like the way that's laid out is like, okay, you got to start your seller account. But even before you start your seller account, I think you should know the terms you need to know, right? So what's seller amp? What's Keepa? What's a bolo? What's retail arbitrage? What's online arbitrage? What's the difference? Here's why I don't think it makes sense to do private label as a beginner, because you actually do need 10 to 20 grand, but you don't for OA. And Amazon FBA encompasses both of those, but OA is a way better way to get started, right? And everything. So it's consistently solving the next problem, as a result of those, you know?
So do you make it, is it a combination of being able to have people come back and reference specific parts of the video while also keeping it entertaining for people who want to just sit and binge an entire 8-hour video? Do you balance the two of those things?
You know, I think it's based on the average view duration. I think it's a lot of the coming back and referencing part. Yeah, I think it's heavily coming back and referencing, and occasionally you'll get like the occasional sicko that'll mention that they watched the whole thing in 2 sittings or 1 sitting, everything, which is pretty cool and everything too. And I just always think that's cool because like I was happy to post, man, when 6 people were seeing it. You know what I mean? I just believed in Gary Vee and what he was preaching and everything, you know, and it's kind of been the same thing ever since. I remember talking to this one person that worked at the same place my parents worked, and they kind of asked me like what I was doing. I was basically just like selling stuff heavily and talking about it online. And that was like over 4 years ago. And it's looking back, it's like the exact same thing basically, you know? And I had always looked for a business I could work on for a while. I had never really gotten good enough at shoes to do it for a while. Never really got good enough at the Facebook ads to do it for a while. Selling books on Amazon was tough. And that's why I was so thrilled when I found online arbitrage. And it was such a blessing to have both the business that was right for me and the people that were right for me too. And now even keeping going with that, partially a limiting belief in that I'm even saying the business for me. Why does the business have to be for you? why are you so important that the business has to be for you, right? And saying it to myself, right? And that's not true, right? In that we're very blessed to be able to have a choice of all these things and everything, but you don't gotta like something to win from it. You don't gotta like something to succeed from it, right? And everything. It's like I assume pretty much everyone does, right? You battle mindset issues all the time, right? Is this the right thing? Should I really be doing this? Is this really worth it? Right. But it's just like, overpowering the negative days and taking as much advantage of the positive days, and you string enough of those together and good things happen.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right. You've mentioned a few things already, but I want to dive a little bit deeper. There is so much to keep track of. There's, AI, of course, there's changes on Amazon, there's changes on social media. What does your information diet look like? And I guess, how do you keep track of what actually matters and what you can just filter through?
Ooh, okay. So it's all around it's all objective based, like pretty strictly, I'll scroll every now and again, here and there, but 12 minutes, not 3 hours. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think so both in terms of keeping myself busy, it's as best I can saddling myself with responsibility that demands action, that there'll be negative consequences if I don't do, right? And that kind of keeps me out of trouble, I would say, for better or for worse. That's kind of the way I see it. That might be a negative view of all this stuff, and that's all right, and everything. And then also too, information diet and everything, man. It's I'd say a lot of where I get a lot of learning is on Twitter, consuming a lot of stuff, and just keeping really ears to the streets is kind of like a weird saying, but ears to the streets in the community, specifically on Amazon, and then overall as a whole, just other things, just keeping a really sharp eye on what, all the sharpest people are talking about, learning what they're doing, emulating different things, paying for access potentially to learn the best strategies and just keeping tight with that. And then also kind of listening to myself in terms of what I'm genuinely interested in, which happens to be this, space, which has been very profitable and everything, which is pretty cool too. So just maxing that out and understand that things might not be forever, but I plan on having a really, really long career, and I can equip myself as best as possible with skills and mindset and people around me and everything. So I want to do as best as I can to, max those out.
You said scroll for 12 minutes. You keep your phone on black and white, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, now here we go. So if we want to talk on stuff like that, yeah. So all notifications off, all of them, except mom, dad, grandma, girlfriend, every single one off. None of them. Now I'll be on my phone 24/7, but I'm not letting it distract me. If I'm on it, I'm on it. It's not on me. Right. So no notifications on outside of those. Every single person that hasn't put a concerted effort into turning all the notifications off gets nonsense spewed at them all day. Like DoorDash notifications. Why do you have DoorDash notifications on? Why do you have Uber notifications on? You never need an Uber random. If you need an Uber randomly, you open the app and you use it. No one ever gets the notification of hey, do you need a ride? And they need a no. You go and so that is a big thing. I didn't think you guys were thinking. I like that. Okay, now because I do a bunch of weird things with this, so I'm happy to speak on it here. So yeah, phone in black and white. All notifications off, all of them. You got to go through and do a lot of them one by one, I think. I think you have to do them all one by one in the notification center. Right there. YouTube Premium, no ads. Although low-key, I should be probably looking at ads that people are doing and everything. If we want to go deep on it, it's cut out the seed oils and everything, right? If we're being honest from a focus perspective, and then everything too, and muting the crap out of people on social that spew negative things and stuff that doesn't help you get to your objective. It makes you less competitive, and everything too. Being relentless with who you follow, who you consume, who you listen to. What else goes there? Oh, gym, staying active, getting steps in, eating well is huge. And I think it's just designing your perfect day and your perfect video game character and then trying to act like them and live that as much as possible,
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So do you have do you compartmentalize, because so much people use social media as recreation so often, so do you kind of have business scrolls and then recreation scrolls, or do you just is it a combination of both if you do jump on social media to consume?
Sure. Yeah. And then one more thing just on what we were previously talking about, I'd say probably the biggest thing for me personally has been getting up at 7 a.m, 7 days a week, every week for about 2 years. It used to be, it's kind of funny. I've gotten more and more reason to get up because I've enjoyed work somewhere and responsibilities grow. I remember in college during 2020 and everything, it would be 8:20 and then it became 8 and then it became 7. And now I think it's even going to become earlier. too. But 7 days a week, getting up at the same time, and then mostly going to bed at the same time has been a very, very good thing too. 7 days a week, because I think that's really good for like the circadian rhythm and everything. But I just don't have personal social media, honestly, which was really big. I remember right before I graduated college, I deleted my personal social media. I logged in one last time to see like what's going on with my college graduation, because I graduated early. It's like, I'll go look at them at graduation. I think it was the last time I ever went on my personal Instagram, cut that whole thing off. And then I just have no personal socials. Don't even really, just because like moving to Florida, a lot of my friends IRL became a lot of my business friends became IRL friends. So that's kind of been like where I've gotten that, like social stimulus from locally and everything, which I didn't have previously, which is part of the reason why I wanted to move down here so bad. And also why I think I had to be online so much, because I was so lonely in Pennsylvania and in college, honestly. And all that, but yeah, so I just like don't really have personal social. So like, I don't really end up seeing a bunch of that. So like, I have no idea what's going on with anyone from college or high school or anything, except I'll go on LinkedIn once a week and see a bunch of people announcing nonsense degrees and get reminded of why I'm on at least what I think is the right path. But yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty good about not scrolling too heavily, and everything. And if I do, my algorithms are for the most part, either like basketball, which kind of just makes me want to go play basketball, which is decent for me from like an activity perspective, or just like business stuff. And I'll get some nuggets here and there, and everything. So, I'm not like amazing about it, but I'm gotten better over time. And I think the main reasoning for that is just building the skill of focus better. And then also just like more and more stuff demanding business wise kind of keeps you out of trouble too, or at least keeps me out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you an 8 hours of sleep a night guy, or can you get by on less?
I can get by on significantly less. I don't love to, but typical days like 11 or 11:30 to 7. Okay. So I guess kind of, now that I think about it, yeah, pretty much 8 hours. Yeah. Or at least 8 hours lying down. Yeah. And I remember too, kind of like the less like focused and dialed in I've been on. Like I used to be a terrible sleeper. And now that I've been on the mission the past couple of years, I'm a great sleeper, like going to bed immediately, waking up before alarm or waking up easily right at alarm, never snoozing, anything like that. And so, yeah, so I pretty much, honestly, now that I think about it, yeah, either solid 7:30 or pretty close to 8. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Printing stuff off. You got to set bedtime.
Yeah. The printing stuff off. Yeah. The swipe files. Yeah. That's a big thing, but the set bedtime is huge. Yeah. That's because like nothing good happens after like 11 o'clock, like ever, right? It's nothing good, especially for young people,
right.
And I think so. Like, yeah, that's been a good thing too.
Well, if you start posting the virtues of early bird dinners, we're going to have a talk.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. No, yeah. Well, the way like kind of life is set up, I end up eating later typically. Yeah.
All right. Hey, so you've mentored a ton of people, right? So can you tell us what separates the ones who are going to win from the ones that don't have it in them, or at least not right now?
Yeah. So there's honestly like a couple big inflection points, but the main thing, I mean, you guys know too, it's what questions are being asked. It's like, how good are you at Googling? How good are you at ChatGPT, right? Because that determines massive speed or lack of speed action taking wise in terms of like getting stuff taken care of and everything. And then it's all who you're talking to on a day-to-day basis. All the best Amazon sellers, they have Amazon conversations nonstop all the time. It's a consistently growing percentage compared to non-Amazon conversations, Amazon conversations of total conversations, the Amazon one skyrocketing. And it's like, this is kind of like a joke, but it's really true. Like the second one Amazon seller hears your voice that you didn't have to pay money to, your success rate like 50x's or like 10x's or something, right? Just because there's such a big difference, because the guy who one person hears his voice, typically hundreds do. Right. And so he's getting the Discord invite. He's getting the group chat invite. He can get stuff answered quick from the community. Right. And the other guy or gal just can't. And there's just massive compounding effects, both positively and negatively, depending on which spectrum you are. And I think so. It's conversations that they have day to day and what percentage of those end up being Amazon oriented. And pretty much those end up being a large percentage of success, and how long you stick with it too, and that like I always say, like this is a 6, 12, 18 month minimum commitment. Gives you a little time to get lucky, man. Gives you a little time to get lucky with stuff, and that it's pretty hard to suck at a business after 2 years. of working on it every day. Like it is, unless you're like really out of it and like pretending, like you're going to get a lot better over time and everything, you know? And then, I just think like my first year doing online arbitrage, I did like a little bit over 1 million in sales. Like it's like 1,020,000 basically. Right. But my guys I was talking to every day from February and onward, Garrett either did over 1 million or damn close to it. And then my buddy Jake did well over 1 million. And then my friend Danny did well over 1 million too. So I got like that first year was like 1 year, but it was really like 4 years. And it was 1 million in sales, but it was really like 5 million or 6 million in sales based on how much knowledge I got, because we were tapped in so closely every day and everything too, which was like a big thing. And, if you're just working on your own, which is the vast majority of Amazon sellers, you just put yourself at a massive disadvantage because you're competing against guys that can get a lead checked in 15 minutes rather than 15 days of buying and testing it. Right. And that compounds massively over time. So those are the two big things I would say. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes along with it. But if I could like design someone who succeeds, it's they're damn good at Google and stuff. They trust themselves, or they continue to give reasons themselves to trust themselves, so they eventually do, right? And they do the actions that would actually lead to a couple guys and gals rocking with you, and it becomes a pretty good thing.
Nice. I'm glad you made that point, because I think it was Daniel Pink that I was watching, so he had a piece of content where he said that people who want to be great at something talk about it all the time. Right. If you ever had Roger Federer talks about tennis all the time, like LeBron James is going to talk about basketball all the time. And there's no reason that making money shouldn't be the same thing. If you want to be good at making money, you should talk about it all the time, much to the chagrin of some of my family members, but they'll have to get over it. But I'm glad you made that point. That's a very good one. And
that's why you need this outlet here, Chris, so you can get on with other guys that are cool with that. You know what I mean? And that's exactly. A big blessing of the internet and everything, is that you have the opportunity, and that I didn't pay any money for this. You guys didn't pay me any money for this. You know what I mean? When we go to an event later this year, we'll get together, we'll hang out, you know what I mean? And I get to soak up game from you guys and vice versa. And there was no monetary exchange either way, right? And that's a beautiful thing. And I want everyone to have opportunities like that.
Yeah. All right. We always try to do a little bit of a lightning round and just kind of get into everybody's mind a little bit. So first question is, if you could put a message on a billboard that every Amazon seller would see, what would it say?
Ooh, okay. Every Amazon seller would say, one sentence or multiple sentences, or a quick one right there.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. It can be... Who hears your voice on a day-to-day basis determines the results you get.
Yeah, that's great. What is the best personal or business purchase that you've made that was under $500 over the past year or so?
Okay, I got a really good tripod right here. I saw that one on the show notes. So this tripod, I'm not sure what brand it is. Let me figure it out here. It's from Manfrotto right here. It's really good. You put a phone on it too. As well. That's very good. Blue light glasses I've had, but blue light glasses are a big one too. Blue light glasses, and then a reverse osmosis water filter.
What's the biggest lever that you've pulled in your business in the past 6 months?
Partnerships. Yeah, I'd say probably partnerships, and just kind of getting back to where I came from, and that embracing the community more and more. I felt personally I had gotten away from that a little bit, and it feels great to, get back doing that a lot more. And it's felt really, really good the past couple months.
Nice. Who's
one person in business that you admire that most people haven't heard of?
Okay. Haven't heard of. Let's see. Most people admire, but Nick Huber is huge, but like a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like still, like he doesn't have like millions of followers. Nick Huber is great. I've been listening to his stuff heavily for like 5 years in a row. The guy who owns ConvertKit, Nathan Barry, him as well. Definitely him. It's interesting because like I like consume a lot of like business content. I consume a ton of like Amazon content. So like Alex Becker definitely too, as well. That like kind of, I feel like a lot of folks kind of interested in Amazon wouldn't know as much too. And then old school Sam Ovens YouTube videos too. He hasn't posted in like years and years, one of them, but like those are gems from like 2019. Definitely that as well too.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, very man. Exactly.
Ovens.
Yeah.
Very interesting guy. He tells the story about delivering his own child. And it was, and if you know who Sam Ovens is, it's very likely that he's probably somewhere on the spectrum, and just the way that he delivers it is, it turns it into a very fascinating story. What's the best question that you've been asked in the past 3 months?
Ooh, probably from a mentor I paid. Like, what are you actually looking for? You know, 'cause it's so tough to not think about that. Just get lost in like making money and everything. You know, because like that's the nice thing. Like financially, like if you're dialed in on your goals, like, and you don't need like a Lamborghini or anything. It's pretty easy to live a good life. You know what I mean? It's pretty easy to live a good life. And which is a blessing majorly, right? If you've been, let's say 3, 4, 5 years into business where you have your head on straight, you have a path forward. There's examples of you down the line continuing to take the right actions, being very successful and everything, and really, getting what you're looking for. But yeah, just having a crystal clear picture of that, which I'd gotten away from a little bit. And I found that I always operate best when I have an attainable goal for the next 6 or 12 months. And I can think of specific periods when I have that and went super hard. And the times when I haven't have been a little bit slower. And it's continuing to kind of learn how I operate better to take advantage of those and always have those.
What's the book that you've recommended or gifted the most?
Ooh, gifted. I mean, I could, cause it's been such a like big competitive advantage for me. I'd say definitely Crush It by Gary Vee, the one from 2009. It's really easy. It's like 110 pages. You can read it in one sitting. That's really good. And then the Slight Edge is very good too. Yeah. And those are kind of like more, those are kind of like more business oriented, like personal finance, like definitely Rich Dad Poor Dad's a huge one. Simple Path to Wealth. Those are cool. I'd say those.
Classic. By the way, neither of you guys should buy Hormozy's new book. I've got plenty coming for you guys. I'll just send them out to you when I get them.
Ooh, that's love. That's love.
Nice.
All right. So listen, a lot of people probably already know where you're at. They probably already follow you. But for those who don't, where can they find you?
Yeah. So we have our product research tool at selleramp.com. We have our listing, shipping, and analytics tool, boxem.com, which has made significant progress over the last year. And it's really, really good. I'd encourage anyone listening to this, go watch a YouTube tutorial. You're going to very quickly see that it's made massive progress. It's really, really good. Compare it to how you're currently doing shipments, and you'll very quickly see that it's a really, really good product now, and you guys should totally take a look at it right there. So Boxem for listing, shipping, and analytics. We're super excited about the analytics features too. Other stuff got coming out with that as well. And then all my personal pages are Instagram Full for Miles, Twitter Full for Miles, really any platform. Right there. I'll never DM you about crypto or anything. There's a lot of fake accounts, unfortunately, right there. And I think the most helpful stuff is definitely the YouTube content there. And I'm pretty responsive to, like, I'm happy to answer any questions in the DMs too, as well. And I do live streams all the time. Chris and I've been doing it lately, which has been a lot of fun too. So, very excited to help you guys grow your Amazon business. And if you ever want, help with, or just, content stuff, like feel free to hit me up about too, because I really, really enjoy talking about that.
Yeah. And of course, links will all be in the show notes. So if you guys don't have to write them all down, so we end each one of these episodes with a quote of the week. And I was really thinking about where we should go with this quote of the week. And so I pulled out marketing godfather, Seth Godin. And it actually ties into something you said a little bit earlier, but people don't buy goods and services. They buy relationships, they buy stories, they buy magic. And I thought that fit this episode really well. Miles, this was fantastic. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us, man.
Cool. No, thanks a lot to you guys as well. And definitely have been very grateful to see, what you guys have been able to do the past couple of years, and, be a small part of it here with a couple of these episodes too, as well. It's a lot of fun. Thank you guys. And thanks everyone for listening too.
All right. That's the show, guys.
Thanks for listening to Clear the Shelf with Chris and Chris. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a screenshot on your phone and share it to Facebook, Instagram, or your favorite FBA group, and be sure to tag me and let me know why you liked it and what you'd like to hear more from us in the future. Also, I'd like to give you some free gifts for listening. Head over to rabbittrailchallenge.com and repricerchallenge.com for some free courses to further your business. Thanks for listening.